Right, and we're back with our week 3 previews. Um, Big week. This is kind of the week where a lot of people can see if their team's going to be contender throughout the year, or if it's going to be a team that's going to be struggling to put up wins here. We had a pretty uneventful Thursday night game with Jets kind of walloping the Pats. Brees had a nice game, and Garrett Wilson had a touchdown. But besides that, wasn't too many fantasy scores. Um, so we can get right into it. We got a few stats to give you guys, and once the time calls for them, we can talk about them. And you can see here the first matchup we got is Donnie Football. After his 17 points with the Jets defense, maybe the high score besides I don't know if Brees had over 17 or not, but one of the high scores of the week so far is Jets defense. 2-0 Donnie Football against 1-1 Kiss the Rings, and looks like it is a 15-point favorite after the Jets do get off to a nice start for him.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna take myself on the spread like I did last week. I don't know if I win this one outright. I think I probably don't win this one outright, but I think I cover it.
Yeah, we can look at a little bit of the matchups. Obviously, Tyler had AJ Brown out this week. It looks like he's just slotting JSN in, which totally understandable. He looked like a monster last week. I think he had at least 10 catches. So I think that's pretty fair replacement. I mean, Diggs looks like he's behind Nico in the pecking order, but still getting at least a few targets a game. And I expect Kelsey to have a little bit better of a game than he did last week. So um, I'm looking at your
Diggs,
matchups. Sorry, go
Diggs,
ahead.
yeah, Diggs on the revenge game scares me for sure.
That's a good point. Him against Minnesota, in Minnesota too. He likes playing at that stadium, as we know. But I like your matchups too. I mean, you got a lot going on in that Kansas City
Yep.
Atlanta game. So you kind of need that to be high scoring. Um, but I'm gonna hate to do this to you, but I'm gonna go Tyler on the minus 15 here with the 17-point head start. Um, just because I think Atlanta maybe grinds out that game against KC a little bit more than people are thinking, and it ends up being not a super high scoring affair, which might limit your upside a little bit. Um, but I could still see it being relatively close, and it's always nice having the guys going Sunday Night Football to kind of have that your players in the back there ready to roll.
Yeah. No, I mean a lot of my guys are really all my stars are going on Sunday night, which definitely makes me nervous. Um, I'm a little nervous about Tony Pollard too. I think that he gets the rock going forward and they take the ball out of Will Levis's hands.
Yeah, yeah, agreed. And especially against Green Bay, where I think Malik Willis is starting. So that might be like a slow, grinded out game for both teams running the ball
Yep.
a lot.
Yeah. And then benches, I don't think that there's anything noteworthy on start sit decisions here.
No, maybe Zach Moss for Tyler. I
Yeah.
mean, it looks like that should be a positive game script for Cincy. I think you could talk yourself into Moss getting a lot of touches on Monday night, maybe starting him over Diggs. But yeah, as you said, Diggs against Minnesota, it's hard to have that on your bench.
Yep. No, I agree. You gotta play the revenge game here. All right. So you have me not covering. I have myself covering. I think we both agree this is a loss though from me, and Bum goes to 3-0.
Yeah, you don't have to stay on the page, but obviously it's been tough with the quarterbacks. Whichever one's been on your bench so far the first couple weeks is the one that's outscored. Or any was there any decision there with between Daniels and Kyler, or the way Kyler looked last week? It was kind of a no-brainer.
Yeah, I mean, I think Kyler's just wheeling and dealing. And Jaden just concerns me, especially going up against Cincinnati, where I think that he could just get swallowed up.
Yeah, yeah, they have a
Um,
good pass rush.
I think Kyler probably has the safest floor between the two.
Yep, agreed.
All right, let's go to the next one here. So you versus Carney. Can I just go to the actual matchup? Rashid Sleeper sucks. Okay. So you versus Carney, there is a 15-point spread again.
Yep. Yeah, 15-point spread over Carney. Obviously a tough start for him. Ramondre, you never want to see that, but
Yeah.
point 3 points. That's tough to win weeks when you have guys with near 0 points. And he doesn't have the best matchups. I mean, but Allen should play pretty well against Jacksonville. ETN a little bit tougher of a matchup for him. I think DJ Moore ends up having a decent week because he looked a little frustrated last week with Caleb Williams. I think they kind of force feed him the ball. And this could go both ways with Devontae. Yeah, AJ Brown's out, so there's more targets for Devontae, but Devontae is also going to have a ton of attention against a great Saints defense, and Lattimore's back this week, so I think Lattimore draws the assignment on Smith and maybe limits him a little bit. Um, but the one thing that does make me nervous is Laporta really hasn't had a good game yet, and I think he is due, especially with the struggles that Detroit's had in the red zone. I think they really look to feed him the ball this week.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, looking at his matchups though, I don't know that he gets to 95. I really, like you said, I don't like ETN. I really don't like DJ Moore, Devonta Smith this weekend. Sam
Yeah,
Laporta might be his guy. And then I said it before with Jaden. I think that whole entire Washington offense just gets swallowed up by Cincinnati on Monday night.
yeah, yeah. Brian Robinson obviously he's had a good season so far, and Carney's got to be happy with how he's played. But I agree with you there. It's going to be a tough week for him.
Yeah, and just looking at his bench, I don't see anyone that would make sense to start over who he's got in.
Yeah, maybe Pickens, but it's hard. Like we said, it's hard to kind of replace Moore and Smith when they should be getting 10 plus targets. But I mean, I don't know. That's some tough matchups. Tough start for him. And yeah, I guess I like my matchups enough. I think Dallas and Baltimore ends up being a relative shootout, so Zay should get some looks. I think Ayuk could be in contention for top receiving scorer of the week this week.
Yep.
Um, and then I like my running back matchups. I think Kamara plays Philly pretty well. He plays well at home. We'll see about Dobbins. I think he's due to have some regression this week, but hard not to ride the hot hand for me. And I'm a little bit nervous about Richardson after being so pumped about him week 1, but I think we probably saw one of his worst weeks last week. Maybe he looks to run the ball a little bit more this week and at least provides me a safe floor.
If it were me, I'd go the other way on this, Caleb versus Richardson.
Really.
Yeah, I think Chicago's defense is really good.
Yeah,
Um,
I agree on that. Um, Caleb's got to show at this point for me, it's Caleb's got to show me something before I can get him on the bench or I can get him into the lineup.
that's fair. Yeah, you guys posted two 7-point games back to back, but
Yeah.
I
I
I don't know.
I did have the thought. It did cross my mind, especially with I just think the ceiling is too high for Richardson. Like if he just even if he has a bad game and scores 2 rushing touchdowns, you know what I mean? So I don't know. We'll see. I agree with you though. I do love Chicago's defense, so that does make me a little bit nervous. And then the only other thought I had was maybe getting T. Higgins in there. I think since he's been pretty desperate for him, but again, I couldn't justify playing him over any of the guys I got in there. So I think it was pretty easy start decisions for me. Um, and then what do you have? So do you have me on the covering the spread, or what do you think?
Yeah, you covering the spread, and I think it's more than 15.
Yeah, I'm gonna say the same. I'm gonna go myself covering the 15-point spread. All right.
All right, Rough Dog versus Rashid here.
Okay, so yeah, this is a stat we pulled out last year when I was dishing out the columns a couple columns last year. Teams to start 0-3. You would think there'd be a few more instances than there really has been, but it's really only happened it's happened 14 times a team started 0-3, so about one a season. Some maybe 1 or 2 times there's been 2 in a season. Only 2 teams have made the playoffs after starting 0-3, and the last time it's happened was 2015. So it's kind of a death sentence going 0-3 in this league. And both these teams are 0-2. And I mean, someone's got to be 0-3. And Rashid's obviously gotten off to a good start with Brees Hall getting in there, but he expects that from Brees Hall. So if he didn't have that, he'd be a lot more nervous. So I think both these guys are nervous. Um, Rashid has started 0-3 twice in his career. So if he goes 0-3 again, that would be his third time. Hermes is the runaway, and we'll get to Hermes too. He started 0-3 four times so far. Um, and yeah, the combined record for the 14 teams that have started 0-3 is 54 and 132. So um, just it's tough. It's tough to come back from it. And this is the week you got to start winning some games. So, did you want to touch upon that, or did you want to dive right into, or you could start with the matchup?
I think let's start into the matchup, but I
Okay.
agree with you. It's definitely a must win for Rashid. He's got to post something here. I think the matchups. I don't know how you don't go with Rashid here. Just looking at everything. Um,
Yeah. What's the projection?
Projection is 106 to 100, which I mean a 6 point
Wow.
spread. Actually, not even. It's like a 5 point spread. Um,
Call it 5.5.
yeah, that's still. This is an easy. Rashid's going to win this game for me. And I think it's way more than five. I don't have confidence in Andrews running backs, especially Devin Singletary. He showed a lot last week, but he's playing Cleveland this week. Rashad White playing Denver. I get Denver isn't looked at as a great team. I still think they have a good run defense where they can keep Rashad White at bay, and I think Rashad White is just an average running back. Receivers, we'll see what happens. DK Metcalf playing Miami, Jamar Chase playing Washington. Obviously, they could explode. And Devontae Adams playing Carolina. So those are obviously three really good matchups and three really good players.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, yes, starting Singletary against Cleveland. I know we get a lot of touches, so you're just playing the touches game, but I'm really surprised he doesn't have DeAndre Swift in there. That's actually a shocker now that I'm seeing it. Only because I know he hasn't done a ton, he hasn't done a lot, but Indy has gotten torn up in the run game so far this year. And I mean, obviously NFL coaches realize that. I'm sure they're game planning to stop the run a little bit more. But I mean, the Packers were starting Malik Willis last week, so Indy could have just stacked the box, but they got torn up in the run game. And I'm trying to think their week one opponent, but I'm pretty sure I saw something that they ran the ball pretty well too. Was it Houston they played week one? And Mixon had the 150 yards. I think that sounds right. I think they played Houston week one, and Mixon had a massive game. Last week, Jacobs had a massive game. So that's surprising to me. That's surprising you're not getting Swift in the lineup. I think you could even make the case for Mostert too this week against Seattle. I would start both those guys over Singletary. So yeah, I'm a little surprised on that.
Is Mostert actually expected to play? I know he's listed as doubtful right now.
Oh, is he doubtful right now? That's on me. I thought he was practicing this week and thought he was back on track. But if he's listed as doubtful, yeah, never mind then. But still, either way, I would really. I'm surprised in starting Swift.
Yeah, I think we're splitting hairs here, but I don't agree with DeAndre Swift because Chicago really hasn't been able to run the ball.
Yeah, I think they've played some tough defenses too, but
Yeah.
I think you got to play your matchups here. And then yeah, Rashid, I'm gonna take, as you said, I'm gonna take him on the -5.5 too. I expect I expect a big week from Chase, but I also expect some big weeks from Gibbs. I think Detroit's in a must-win game, and they don't want to go 1-2, and they're gonna get the ball in their playmakers' hands. And I think Gibbs is one of their strongest playmakers. And then Lamar against Dallas. That should be. I'm expecting a shootout. I've said it before, but I expect him to have a pretty good week too with them being 0-2. They gotta get a win here.
Yep.
All
All
right,
right.
so we're both going Rashid.
Yep. We're both going Rashid here. Next one, Ryan versus Hermes.
Yeah, again, big matchup for Hermes, as we said, with alluded to with the 0-3 starts. That would be tough to go your fifth time start 0-3. I mean, this is year 12 for the league or year 13, maybe 12. Get the exact number, but that's still a good chunk of your seasons starting 0-3. So
That's
we'll see it.
concerning.
That's concerning. And I mean, we got the two tank commanders facing off in week three with Ryan and Hermes, two of the lowest winning percentages in the league history. Um, so it'll be a big win for one of them. If Ryan can get to 2-1, he'll be ecstatic. If Hermes can get his first win, he'll obviously be ecstatic and tie Ryan up in the standings. So you want to break down some of the matchups?
Yeah, I'll start with Hermes here. Jonathan Taylor versus Chicago. I, I mean, hopefully he gets his touches and gets his carries. Like we said with Anthony Richardson, Chicago's a good defense, and I am concerned here that the Colts start getting a little exposed and can't keep up. Um, Josh Jacobs versus Tennessee. I think we talked about that. That's going to be a run heavy game. I like that. Amon-Ra St. Brown versus Arizona. Rashid Shaheed versus Philly. I like both of those. I think Rashid Shaheed could continue this trend of him just catching a bomb touchdown.
Hmm.
Um, Bowers against Carolina. I know you and I talked about this. I offered Hermes two first round picks straight up. He said no. I offered him
Well,
any player outside of Bijan on a trade, and we kind of left it at that. But I think Bowers could explode this week.
I
And
mean, yeah, click on them real quick. He might be the tight end one right now.
tight
Tight end
end
three,
three.
sorry. But yeah, hey, 8 and 9 targets. Like, no, how many tight ends are getting 8 targets a game?
Yeah,
That's
this
great.
this pick just through 2 weeks feels like a grand slam for him at four overall,
Yeah,
where you're
21
getting
years old. Yeah.
yeah, and you're getting what looks like a top five talent at a position where what was the stat? Zach Ertz was a top 10 tight end that we
Right.
saw. He was 178th or
Yeah.
189th. Yeah.
Yeah, to get a player that not only is like great for the long term, but to like contribute right away
Yep.
is fantastic for Hermes. So even though he's 0-2 and could be 0-3, we always say it, but he's got some dogs on his team. And I know he's I talked to him earlier this week. He has been tinkering his lineup left and right. So it'll be interesting to see when you scroll down to the bench here. He's got a lot of options. And it looks like he's going Montgomery against Arizona, which I like.
Yep.
Um, get those Detroit players in your lineups. I think they pull out all the stops this week. I think Ridley was maybe in his lineup at one point. Maybe McLaurin was in his lineup as well. They should have negative game script, so they'll be throwing the ball. But I think he came to the right lineup in the end. Like maybe you can make the
Yeah.
justification of Ridley over Shaheed, just thinking that Shaheed regresses a little bit here. But against Philly at home, I think you're right. They're going to manufacture him some touches, and they're going to take a few deep shots on him. And Philly's defense has been susceptible to wide receivers in big games.
And I think just the game and the way that it's going to work out too, right? I mean, Will Levis hasn't shown us much,
Yeah,
and Malik Willis is, a backup quarterback.
right.
And both teams want to run the ball. I think both teams will run the ball.
Yep.
And Calvin Ridley is going up against Jair Alexander. It's
Yeah,
I think that he's got the right starting lineup here. And I, even if Rashid Shaheed has a bad game and Ridley has a good game, I'd still feel confident with the decision that I made putting Rashid Shaheed in over Calvin Ridley.
100%. 100%. Let's take a look at some of Ryan's matchups.
And Burrow versus Washington, Kyron Williams versus San Francisco. This one terrifies me.
That's tough. I mean, it's like you got to play him, but yeah, I don't know. Like, is that? I don't know if they're going to be able to move the ball that well against San Fran, but I mean, you do have to play him. He's got what, 12? Does that say 12 and 13 points the first couple weeks?
Take away the touchdowns though, and where's he really at?
Yeah,
And
that's a good point.
I mean, obviously, a score's a score. You got to give it to him, but I mean, we're talking about 2.78 a carry, two a carry over the
Yeah.
last two games.
Yeah, and he's got some guys on the bench, which we'll get to in a second here, that you could talk yourself into. It looks like he's going Jerome Ford, which I do like. I think against the Giants, they're going to try and pound the rock. I would say the one thing about the Giants defense is they have some good pass rushers. So maybe Cleveland tries to keep the ball out of Watson's hands and really focuses on hammering the ball to Ford and Foreman.
Yeah, we'll
And
see. I got to see the rest of his running backs, but let's go through the receivers. I don't think that we're going to question this at all. Where we
no,
have Jefferson, Harrison, Godwin, all three of them starts, and you feel confident about starting them. Obviously, Trey McBride, obviously you're going to start him.
yep,
So let's see, Carson Steele. I mean, I don't know. He could put up something, but
yeah,
that's
you got to
that's
see
a
it first.
yeah, it's a scary start if you throw him in there. And Foreman. Wow,
These are the two.
Aaron
These are
Jones
the
versus
two.
Houston, and he didn't put him in.
These are the two for me. I know Todd Chandler had a big week last week, but Jones is still the guy there. He's going to get a bunch of touches. This surprises me a little bit.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. I don't know. I definitely would have started Jones over, honestly, probably over both of these guys.
I think, well, I was going to say, I think you can make a case for Jones and hear me out, Zamir White against Carolina. I think I saw a
Yeah,
quote on Antonio Pierce. I know he hasn't looked great. They've had some tough game scripts. But I saw a quote from Antonio Pierce saying, as long as I'm the head coach, we're going to get Zamir White the ball. And they're playing a defense in Carolina that just gets gashed up by the run game. So I know it's tough to get him in there, but you drafted him in the first round, you drafted him high, and these are the type of games where you drafted them for to like grind out 20 carries, hope you like 80, 90 yards and probably score a touchdown. So I'm a little surprised. But again, it's a toss up with some of these guys. So with that being said, what's the spread here? I'm leaning Hermes regardless, but if it's less than 5 points, I'm definitely going Hermes.
spread is 2.5 points. This is the closest game we got.
Yeah, I'm gonna go home Hermes here on the 2.5 points.
I don't know. I mean, I didn't think that Ryan was going to put up much last week, and he still won, and he put up what 120, 130. I'm nervous to stay Herman.
It's tough to say. Hey, I mean, if you look at the history, saying Hermes is not not in your favor.
I'm going to pick Hermes to cover. And I do think Hermes wins here.
Yeah, he needs it, and I think his team knows he needs it, and they have a good game this year and this week.
His team feels better than 0-2. I'll say that.
100%, 100%. Looking at his team, I honestly, as a 2-0 team, and looking at his team at 0-2, I would swap my roster for his right now.
That's a
Might
hot take.
That might be a hot take, but I would swap my roster right now for his.
That might be a delusional take. All right, we're going to or excuse me, Kevin versus Jill.
Yep.
All right,
Uh,
where do we want to start here?
uh, I mean, Kevin's got some injuries here. I guess we can start with Jill on Thursday night. Garrett Wilson. He hasn't really popped off as I thought he would have, but it looks like him and Rogers are starting to develop that connection. Rogers looked great on Thursday night. And I think he's just getting more and more comfortable in this offense, and Wilson's getting more and more comfortable with him. I think he ends up being like a top 10 guy for the back half of the season. I know he hasn't really popped off yet, but I think it's in due time. And yeah, I mean, like I said, Kevin has what mixing out, and we can start with Kevin. I know I just touched on Jill, but we can start with Kevin's matchups.
You
Kevin
know,
has mixing out.
I
Yeah, go
want
ahead.
to, I want to go back to this because I don't necessarily agree with Garrett Wilson being the top 10 guy rest of the season. I think what I said earlier, where I think the Jets are just going to pound the ball
Mm.
between Brees and Braylon Allen, and I think that like the floor for them is like 20 rushes, if not like 25 to 30 every single game. So I think we could see stat lines like this where Garrett Wilson is getting 5 catches for 60, 70 yards and maybe a touchdown.
Yeah. I think Rogers, you know him, he likes to sling the ball even when they're down in the red zone. Um, so I think Wilson does end up getting 10 touchdowns this season. So that's kind of where I see it. But I do agree, yeah, if they're going to be running the ball, obviously limits his upside a little bit. But once they start getting some of these tougher matchups, I think they're gonna be forcing throwing the ball a little bit more too. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see that. It definitely looks like a good offense regardless, and we'll see how it plays out for the season.
All right, let's start here on Kevin's side. So Jalen Hurts, obviously a start.
Yep.
Derrick Henry against the like kind of semi-revenge game where he wanted to go to Dallas in the
Yeah.
offseason.
Yeah, I like
So like
that.
a mini revenge game.
Yep.
Cooks versus Jacksonville. That's an auto start. Hill and Mike Evans both feel like an auto start. Although I will say Mike Evans versus Patrick Surtain.
Mm.
Um, yeah, what am I saying? Evans is going to put up
I
his
still gotta
points.
play him. Yeah.
Yeah. Fryermuth versus the Chargers.
Straight off the waivers.
Jerry Judy versus the Giants. Probably a sneaky play here that could put us some points.
Yep.
And your boy Fairbairn, you're going to ride or die with him.
Oh yeah.
Lock it up. He's going to get 15 points according to you. San Fran versus the Rams. I love this matchup. I think that Kevin could put up another 30 points this week with
With the
these two
two
guys.
of
Yeah,
the special teams,
yeah,
basically. Yeah.
yeah, 100%.
Yeah, agreed. And I know Kevin, he was probably going back and forth. He has some insider info. I know he wanted to start Lazard and would have paid off with Mixon being questionable at the time of Thursday night game. But I like going Judy here. He's got a few options with Lockett and Zeke, but I think Judy probably gives him the highest upside where you hope that he catches like a bomb from Watson during the game or um Zeke, I don't know. Can I click on Zeke's first couple games? I know he obviously didn't have a good game last week with Dallas getting blown out, but it's tough to start him. Yeah,
12 and 4.
6 carries, 16 yards. Yeah, yeah. I like the Judy play. Would you have gone a different route, or you think after not starting Lazard, you gotta go Judy?
I mean, looking at the roster now, this is probably the right play.
Yeah.
And especially with the emergence of JSN last week, where he's finally starting to get some real run there.
Yep.
And
One
oh, go ahead.
one thing, a sneaky play. I know he's already got Derrick Henry, but you want to scroll up to Justice Hill.
You would have
Fresh
started
off a
both of
con,
them.
maybe. Just want to give him a click. I know he's had decent games. No, not as good as I
Yeah,
thought.
you can't start this,
Yeah.
Jack.
I saw the 6 catches for 50 yards in week one, and yeah, no, I thought he had a little bit better game last week. Yeah, no, I like the Judy play. What about for Jill? You want to start with Jill?
Yep. Patrick Mahomes against Atlanta. Saquon Barkley versus your Saints.
Yep,
Achan versus Seattle.
love
Obviously,
it.
Garrett Wilson we hit on.
Yep,
Xavier Worthy. I didn't see her starting Xavier Worthy. I do like the play though.
I like the play
Um,
too. I think Waddle is the other option, and yeah, you gotta see like what that offense looks like without Tua. But sorry, I didn't
yeah.
mean to cut you off.
No, no, no. Let's go ahead and talk about that. I completely agree with you. And I actually like this start a lot. Where Waddle, like you said, I mean, they got Skylar Thompson throwing the rock this week, right?
Yep.
And you can't just throw Waddle in. I do think Worthy, he's that guy who's going to get an end around and deep shots, and it wouldn't surprise me if he puts up a long touchdown here.
Yeah, especially Sunday Night Football. Andy Reid and the Chiefs, they like to kind of show off their
Show off. Yep.
guys. Yeah, so
Yep.
I can see them scheming up a few different plays to him. And yeah, I like that she's sticking with Andrews. I know likely after week one, probably scared her a little bit, but she stuck with Andrews last week and he put up, I think, a solid stat line, 60 yards, maybe 50 yards. Um, so yeah, he's gonna get his touches, and again, a big game in Dallas and Baltimore. They're gonna go to their stars.
Agreed. And I like James Conner here in this position against
Yeah.
Detroit. I don't think it's the best matchup, but still, I mean, James Conner is going to get his touches no matter what.
Yep. I would
Um,
start in Dallas is a little risky, but I don't know if there was a ton of other options out there.
this is one where I don't know, Jack. I mean, I know you think it's going to be a shootout, but I could see Dallas taking this game at home and making a decisive victory. And I think Baltimore is 0-2, right?
Yep.
I think they could be 0-3 by the end of the
Yeah.
weekend.
It's a tough matchup for him. I mean, especially with be one thing if like Dallas was coming off a win, but they're also coming off a spanking at home, so they're gonna be
Fired up,
fired up
yeah.
as well. Are there any options she could have played over?
I see two here. I just want to go back to the lineup. So I see
Yep.
Tank Dell and Charbonnet.
Yeah.
So receivers here, obviously
Maybe
Connor, we're in agreement. Worthy.
maybe over Worthy. I think her decision would have been Worthy versus Dell right here. I mean, yeah, I get what you're saying with Charbonnet, but it's hard to sit any of those three guys, right?
Yeah, I mean, especially with two out. I think we saw it last week where Achan's just going to get touches, whether it's running or catching.
Yeah, he's a dog.
All right, let's go up to the point totals here.
Yeah.
So we got basically a 9 point spread
In whose
in
favor?
in
Jill's?
Jillian's favor.
I like Jill to win the game, but nine might be a little too high for my liking. Um, I think I'm still gonna take Jill. I like her matchups and nothing against Kevin's team. It's just he's expecting a lot from Judy and Fryermuth with the injuries. And if both of them have great games, I'll eat my words, but I think it's tough to see both of them having like big games here and keeping Kevin in it. So I'm gonna go Jill -9 here.
Um, I don't want to take Kevin on this. I think I'm going to take Kevin to cover,
Yep.
and I think Kevin's going to win outright.
Wow. Is that your hot pick of the week?
Yeah, you know, can we go? Can we do our locks of the week here?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that Kevin's my lock of the week here. He covers and he wins.
Oh, I like it. My lock of the week, or so you say Kevin 9 + 9 of and win. My lock of the week is gonna be Rashid -5.5. Um,
That is so fucking soft. Are you kidding me?
listen, I'm not done.
That's no, no,
I didn't
no. We're
say I
not going to
was
pick Rashid.
done.
We're not going to pick Rashid, who we had number 1 in the dynasty rankings, against Andrew, who we had
He's 0
nine.
2. He's oh
Oh,
he's
oh,
bombing his
yes. It's a
standings.
5 point spread, though. It's close.
It's my
Okay.
lock of the
No,
week.
no, come on. That's a fucking ridiculous lock of the week.
It's my lock. It's
Show
my
some
lock.
integrity here.
And my hot take is rough and loses by 60 plus again.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. All right. So then let me change this up. I agree with +60. That's kind of wild. All right. So Ruff loses by 60. Holy shit.
If he keeps
Um,
Singletary in the lineup.
all right. Then my lock of the week, my lock of the week here is Kevin covers the 9.
Yep.
And let me see my hot take. My hot take is that Bum blows me out by like 40. That's my hot take. I have no confidence going up against. He put up 17 with the Jets defense.
Yeah, that's a tough start.
Yeah. All right. We are running out of time rapidly here, Jack. So I think this is a good point to cut off the week 3
Yeah.
preview.
Yeah. Any final thoughts?
No, exciting start to the year. I know we noted this right before we started the Zoom call. I think it's interesting that the top 6 teams this week are going against each other, and then the bottom 4 teams are going against each other as well. I mean, obviously we're only 2 weeks in, but
Yeah. Yeah, no,
interesting to see a workout like that.
yeah, it could definitely be some playoff previews and yeah, it's you can see the parity in the league. There's only 3 undefeated teams left after 2 weeks, and I don't think any of us are going against each other. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see who can pull out and continue on the undefeated streak and how the stands match up over the next couple weeks.
Alrighty. Well, I think that's going to do it for us. So we'll see who pulls out and we'll see who doesn't pull out.
Yeah, enjoy the week 3 games. Enjoy it.
Alrighty. Take it easy.
We'll see you.